Hey everyone, Dave here. I thought I would take kind of a moment here and just talk about some of my favorite books. You know, desert island favorites. You're cast away on a desert island somewhere and you can only take so many books with you. How many would you take? And which ones would you take? Well, I have here just a few of those. So I thought I would just kind of talk about some of my most favorite books. In no particular order. Here I just have a few here. It definitely doesn't cover all of my favorites. If I were to do that, we'd be here a long, long time. That's a good thing. So first one I was gonna mention here. I still love this book. I think it might have been one of my favorites amongst many when I was a little kid, and I don't know if my coffee cup made it a little obvious, maybe not. But no, it's not Red Fish, One Fish, Two Fish. It is another Dr. Seuss book that I don't know how much attention it actually gets. And it's The Sneetches and Other Stories. I still giggle at some of the things in here. I think some of the illustrations are great. The lessons to be learned here are great. You know, it still makes me giggle when I read it, you know. And what's great about it, because not only do you get, the Sneetches, but yeah, you get other stories, these shorter stories that Dr. Seuss wrote. So it's like you get this kind of miniature anthology, um, and it's just a great set of stories. Of course, they rhyme and they have that great rhythm of Dr. Seuss's. Yeah, there's some made up words, kind of taking the liberty with rhyming, but that's part of the fun and part of the charm. And of course, the illustrations are always just so great. Um, One of my favorite illustrations from one of the other stories in here, it's a story called uh, What Was I Scared Of? And it's just this funny little story about this little guy who runs into a pair of pale green pants with nobody inside them. And so you get this very funny image of these pants just floating out in the dark, and it's so funny. And I love that. Them running after him. I mean, Dr. Seuss must have had maybe a bad dream or something when he was either a kid or an adult of just seeing a pair of pants just floating out in the field in the dark. It just scared him. And it's just really funny. So, one of my favorites, The Sneetches. This isn't my original copy from when I was a kid. That copy, I've misplaced it. I think it just kind of fell apart with time. But if you haven't read it, just get yourself a copy. It's really fun. I mean, who doesn't love Dr. Seuss? It's so fun. So, moving on. Again, kind of in no particular order here. Um, I know so it's three books, but it's one story. And I mean, it needs no introduction. I'm talking about, of course, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. You got Fellowship of the Ring right there. You got the Two Towers right there, and Return of the King. What can be said about it that hasn't already been said about it? Great stuff. Those movies really made it more well known. I first learned about it, the movies weren't even out yet. And I had seen, maybe a friend of mine had a copy of it taped off of TV from years ago, or actually had an actual VHS of it, of the animated Hobbit. It was put out by Rankin Bass. They did the stop motion animation, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And it's actually a really good, it's a good adaptation, really. And the animation is cool, just the look of it. It has that kind of dark, atmospheric, it's a good animated rendition. Anyway, so I saw that and like, well, I kind of like that. So of course I read The Hobbit and really liked it. I recall doing a book report on it in high school. And again, this is before those movies came out. So, I did a book report on it. I think it was like my freshman year of high school. And I'm doing this book report on The Hobbit because I read it, I liked it, and everyone's just sitting there just giggling at me like, what were you like, what? Everyone's trying to read like Tom Clancy books or, other kind of thriller kind of things. And I'm reading this silly little children's fantasy, and people were just giggling at me. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. I liked it. My copy of The Hobbit came with The Lord of the Rings with it as well, and I started reading it, and I remember thinking, oh, this is very different from The Hobbit. This is a much slower, more broad, wider world. I really liked how it was kind of like a sequel to The Hobbit. It was really cool. And so I started reading it, and, again, it was a slower read, a little more challenging for me at the time in high school. Really liked it. I think kind of in those teen years, I'm like, yeah, I liked it, but it was just too much and too slow. And then, of course, I reread them when those movies were coming out just to refresh myself with the story and all the nuance and whatnot. And as much as I love the movies, I really do. They're more action with a little more contemporary movie story elements. And if you like the movies but don't want to read the books, I can understand that, but really give the books a try. They have such a good way of just filling in the gaps that maybe the movies miss. And it allows your imagination to really take over and really really start creating these characters in your own mind. Now, I will say some of the hard parts of the book are knowing how to pronounce some of the names. So there's that. And when I first read the books, I didn't realize I was mispronouncing the names. At the end of Return of the King, there is kind of, in all the appendices, which, again, Tolkien was just so clever to. He's going to create these characters, and then he's going to have a backstory, and then he's going to have a language and a whole written alphabet for all the characters. It's just so cool. I mean, a calendar. That's incredible. It's just so cool. And the calendar has its own names of each month. It's so cool. Family trees, so you know who is who. It's great. So, yeah, I reread them a couple years ago because I hadn't read them in a long time, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to give them another read, see how I like it. And I like it more now than, when those movies were coming out or when I first read it as a teenager. Yeah, just a great set of books. Definitely recommend them. I don't have it sitting over here, but another Tolkien book that I also like, that I'd had for years and started it, definitely struggled with it, I think a lot of people do, is The Silmarillion. And it just takes all that Lord of the Rings lore and it just blows it wide open. I recommend that as well. It is a much more challenging read. It's written with very very big, lofty language. It's great. So I'm getting off topic here. It's not sitting over here. Anyway, I recommend that as well. So, Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, Silmarillion. Do it. I also have, and I've had this, I don't know how many years I've had this now, but it is Leaves of Grass, Walt Whitman. This, of course, has, that sort of first edition that was published that, as I understand, was kind of whittled down by the publisher. It also has what's called the deathbed edition. So, Walt Whitman, he's older and he's still writing, and it's an absolute tome. It's just so great. And what I love about it is you can really just pick it up, flip to a page, and just start reading. And he just goes on, just really expressing just a love for the beauty of where he is and nature. And it's a little philosophical, but not really, but just great sort of pontificating in a poetic way about all facets of life. Walt Whitman, just a great, it's just so good. I just absolutely treasure Leaves of Grass. I just do. It's just so great. Highly recommend it. I think it should be required reading for everyone. If you were to have just one book of poetry, Leaves of Grass, it's just filled to the brim with all great passages. Again, highly recommend. Absolutely one of my favorites. In a similar vein, Henry David Thoreau's Walden. Again, you just have a guy who just is appreciating the natural world, and that transcendentalist movement, which they were more thinking in terms of, we need to get back to a simple life. And think how long ago that was, almost 200 years ago. And it's like, if you guys had seen what the 20th century brought, and certainly what the 21st century has brought, what would Walden look like today? I mean, civil disobedience. I mean, that's just a great little piece of writing there. So yeah, again, it's very, very kind of dense, sometimes a little rambling, but I just really like it. I have a very well-read copy, and I hope the pages don't start falling out of this. I've really kind of made a mess of that spine there. But yeah, Walden. I read this not super long ago, maybe 2 years ago. Again, in school, you read various works by authors, and of course, when you read things in school, yeah, sometimes you like them, but a lot of times it's just like, okay, I don't really care about it. Well, so this author, I mean, he's a great author, and I just kind of didn't like, I had a high school may have left a bad taste of it in my mouth reading. Gosh, I don't even remember now what it was. Anyways, John Steinbeck, Travels with Charlie. This is so great. I mean, John Steinbeck, he's getting up in the years, and he's like, you know what? Before I get too old, I'd like to do a really good road trip, see America, encounter whoever I encounter. And he basically fashions kind of an early kind of motorhome. And he takes his dog Charlie with him. And it's so funny. There's some great passages where he's writing about Charlie, just wandering around and sniffing things, and Charlie leaving his mark on the world, um, which is so funny. I feel like I one time heard a review from someone. I don't know if it was like an Amazon review, but basically they're like, they were complaining over the fact that it's like, oh, it's a guy and his dog and talking about his dog urinating here and urinating there. It's like, well, that's not the point of the book. But I mean, dog owners, you know, I think you'd really like it because it doesn't focus on the dog, but there's a few moments where his poodle Charlie makes an appearance, you know. And again, just he gets very reflective at times. He thinks about the state of the country and how, maybe roadside motels are becoming too modern, and, you know, oh, we need to be more simple. You know, who are we becoming as a country if we're going to have all this commercialization? And um, so, yeah, Travels with Charlie, really good one. Um, this one right here, uh, and this is my original copy of this, so I'm actually very pleased that I still have this. I had seen, and I don't remember why I had seen it, um, the movie that Disney had put out in the 50s, I believe, 54, 55, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And I thought it was a really great movie. I really liked it. I still really like it. And so I read the book. And the Disney version of the movie, it's good. It's really good. It is absolutely enjoyable. It definitely has that kind of classic Disney fingerprint on it. But the book itself by Jules Verne is really, really good. There's some great scenes in it. Like they go to the South Pole, I believe it is. Forgive me, it's been a long time since I read it. And they get trapped in an ice tunnel, and they have to drill their way out. It was just so mind blowing. What's also really cool is, but also maybe kind of affects the pace of the story is, because it's all about traveling underwater. So you have a lot of, oh, well, that fish is this species and this genus. So there's a lot of that. Um, almost kind of gives you almost a crash course in, you know, oceanography in a way. So as far as classics go, I really recommend this one. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. This, again, this is my original copy of this. So my dad would always read a book. He was always reading. He still does that a lot. And a lot of times he'd read a book and be like, hey, I read this. I don't really want it anymore. Would you like to read it? Sure, I'll read it. And I read it and really liked it. Of course, at about this time, there had been a popular, once again, all comes back to movies, that came out called Jurassic Park. Great movie. Michael Crichton, really well done. Well, this was the sequel, The Lost World. And I read this and I really enjoyed it. It really got me into reading more Michael Crichton books. And then the movie comes out. And it just fell a little short compared to what the book was. But I need to reread this again as well. Michael Crichton's writing, yeah, I mean, maybe it's a little formulaic. All the stories are kind of the same thing, but I really liked it. I mean, I would read it and I would just see it in my mind, and I would just be like, oh man, this is great. So I got real excited when the movie came out, and then the movie came out, and I'm like, oh, well, all right. So, The Lost World, favorite of mine. Again, it's in no particular order. Uh, so I am from Missouri, and Missouri history has interested me. Well, a historical figure from Missouri that, as a kid, you hear stories about it, and and Old West kind of stuff. Well, so long story short, Jesse James. And I thought, oh, wow, Jesse James. He's this cool Old West kind of outlaw kind of guy, you know. And I had heard about a book that, here I go again, became a movie. So, regardless of it being a movie, The Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford by Ron Hansen. Kind of historical fiction, I mean, the events written in this story, happened, and it's not, I don't want to say it's not historically accurate. So, I mean, there's a little bit of leeway taken with it, but you get a better sense of, the killing of Jesse James. He was like, well, what's the point of the book? I mean, we all know how it goes. It's right in the title. It's like, yeah, it's in the title. We know what's going to happen, but do we know why? And I think this does a great job of telling the story of why, and just someone's obsession with someone. And he just becomes so obsessed. He's like, I'm so obsessed with this guy, and oh, now I'm in his gang, but he doesn't respect me. Well, I got to take care of this. So definitely recommend it. The movie's pretty good too. Brad Pitt as Jesse James. I mean, I don't know if I would have cast him as Jesse James. You watch it, it's like, well, that's Brad Pitt. But pretty good movie as well. But the book is really good. Really good. I mean, I think I read this maybe a week. I just really liked it. It reads like a story, but it gives you kind of a basic history lesson. Highly recommend. So this next one, sitting right here, I got into this author years and years ago. I really always liked his work. Jack Kerouac. Really, really like him. I love that style, just that rambling word jazz salad style. And he would just write about people he knew, his family, growing up, living in New York City, living in San Francisco. On the Road is one of the great novels. And I do like On the Road, but for my money, I think Visions of Cody is better. For me, Visions of Cody is like the deleted scenes that didn't make it into On the Road. And it's so much more free flowing. There's, sections where it's just dialogue. He had tape recorded discussions with him and Neal Cassady, and he just put just all the dialogue in there. And then, he'll have a whole section where after he listens to like these tapes, then he tries to write what the tape is. And this edition, I think all editions are like this. At the very end, Allen Ginsberg writes his memories of Jack Kerouac and Neal Cassady during those years. And so what Allen Ginsberg contributes to the end of this, which I think also helps create a really good picture of the whole thing, is almost page by page in here, he just writes his little comments and has his own little notes, like, oh, here he's examining this moment between him and Neal Cassady, but I seem to remember this happening, and it's just really great. And I even wrote my own little notes in the back. Probably hard to see there. I transcribed them to paper that I keep in the back of the book. Cause yeah, I have gone back and forth reading this thing so many times. I just really, really love it. So I do recommend On the Road. Everyone should read it, but this doesn't get enough attention. Visions of Cody. So highly recommend it. Another one I love just picking up and just kind of reading and just picking up anywhere. This next one, I'm going to sound like a broken record. But yes, it was because of a movie that I read this book. It was probably because of a movie that a lot of people read this book. So I, saw the movie like we all did. If you haven't, I absolutely recommend the movie as well. One of my all-time favorite movies. Maybe I'll do a all-time favorite movie video. I don't know. Let me know if you think that'd be a good idea. But I saw the movie, I'm like, you know what? I think I should read the book as well. So, yep, gotta go with Hunter S. Thompson's Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Again, here you have a writer like Kerouac, like Walt Whitman, who is almost reinventing what story is and how it should go. Because the story is more about him telling the story than the actual story. And that's just so great. Talk about first person perspective. But in this perspective, which under the influence of various imbibables, you have gonzo journalism, it's like, just great, and the illustrations, Ralph Steadman, look at that. They're so great. It just captures all the zaniness that he's trying to describe, and of course you almost can't help but read the book, especially after you've seen the movie, reading the book the way Johnny Depp, performs, Well, it's not going to be like this. We're somewhere around Barstow, on the edge of the desert, and the drugs began to take hold. Really great stuff. I recommend anything by Hunter S. Thompson. I think he's absolutely one of the best writers. Just going against the grain, writing what he sees, maybe a little cynical of things, but, he had a good eye, even if it might have been maybe a little cross-eyed or half open. uh, you know, Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail, 72. It's like, uh, think how many other great Fear and Loathing on campaign trails could have been written. Maybe every campaign, every 4 years, we could have had a great new book from him. But Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, definitely recommend the book. It's a pretty quick read. You'll want to read it out loud, almost pacing around the house. This last one, it's a collection of this man's writings, and really kind of my, well, I wouldn't say a big regret, but I'm a little regretful that I did not discover this writer sooner in life. He has, again, just a great writing style. It is a very articulate, smart, well thought style. He's written essays. He's delivered lectures, fiction, all kinds of things. So if I had to select one thing of his to take with me on that desert island, I'm gonna go with The World Ending Fire, The Essential Wendell Berry. Of just about all these authors, I would really recommend him kind of more than all of them. He writes from an agrarian point of view, so being a farmer, he values that whole lifestyle and that whole work ethic. You read him and you almost want to become a farmer. It's a lot of work, of course, but again, kind of a little bit of social commentary. He is not afraid to, I don't want to say call out anyone, but it's like, hey, if you're going to be foolish, I'm going to call you foolish. And really gets you thinking. It certainly made me better appreciate the need for healthy soil. We go to the grocery store and we're buying things. Well, where do you think it comes from? It comes from the ground. Your fruits, your vegetables, even the animals that are feeding off grass. I mean, they benefit from healthy soil, healthy earth. Really great stuff. I've just always loved this photo of him. I can't tell if he's in pajamas or work clothes. He's just sitting there thinking and writing. I can't recommend Wendell Berry enough. And this book in particular, I have given as birthday gifts, Christmas gifts, just as a gift. It's like, please read this. Please read this. It's just great writing. I mean, you're going to want to read Wendell Berry with a pencil in your hand, just so you can underline all these really great, oh wow, all these illuminating, oh, that makes so much sense. Oh yeah, I like that quote. Absolutely recommend Wendell Berry. Very, very good. So, that's kind of it for now. Again, this isn't everything. Certainly not all of my favorite books. Certainly not all of my favorite authors. This just kind of scratches the surface. So, with that in mind, Let's see how further below the surface we can get. What are some of your favorite books? Who are some of your favorite authors? What are some of your recommendations? What influenced you? What got your mind really thinking about something? Let me know. And thanks for hanging out.